Hey, obsessive listeners of the Obsessive Viewer Podcast. This is Mike, and I'm here in Evansville, actually getting ready to start the sequel to the horror movie marathon my wife and I started 2 years ago. We're going to be watching I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Last Exorcism, and the Carrie remake tonight. We're going to have some friends over. We're going to eat all kinds of fattening foods and eat all kinds of candy. I'm super excited about it. Tomorrow we're going to be watching Joyride, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, You're Next, The Loved Ones, and Poltergeist. And I'll probably talk about it on the podcast here soon. They're all movies I'm super excited to watch again, and it should be fun. I tell you all this because the episode you're about to hear does not feature, well, me. The episode this week was recorded on location with a special guest. So, on Friday, Matt and Tiny interviewed Al Hunter and Tim Poynter. Al Hunter does the Irvington Ghost Tours. You can find info at indianaghosttours.org. And Tim Poynter is from Spirit Paranormal, which is a nonprofit paranormal investigation team that specializes in investigations and home and business energy clearing, which sounds awesome. I like to picture Egon Spengler and his PKE meter in Ghostbusters kind of walking up and down the halls.
I think that would be extraordinarily dangerous.
Spirit Paranormal also does Spirit Academies every once in a while. Matt will give you the dates for that in the episode. In these academies, people interested in ghost hunting can come and test out equipment and stuff and learn about ghost hunting.
I hate this. I like to torture them. That's right, boys.
In the interview, the boys talk about the hauntings in Irving, which is super cool, and admittedly, I'm actually jealous. However, the whole point is that we're promoting the Obsessive Viewer Presents Shocktober in Irvington. And so, we've been talking about this for a while, and basically what Shocktober in Irvington is, it's our night, as the Obsessive Viewer Podcast, to celebrate independent filmmakers and horror. Obviously, you guys know, if you listen to the podcast, it's one of our most favoritist things in the whole world. So the flyer reads, this legendary night will include local independent horror films. It'll have a costume contest, we'll have a raffle, we'll have prizes. I'm actually looking at one of the prizes right now, and I kind of just want to steal it for myself. You can interact with the ghosts at the Haunted Irving Theater, which is pretty sweet, and they'll talk about that in the episode tonight. You can go to shocktoberirvington.com for more details for that, or you can go to attheirving.com, which is the theater's website, and they'll have information for you there. The date for that is Friday, October 17th, 2014. So that's coming up. It's in a couple weeks. The doors open at 6, and again, that's at the Irving Theater. So please check that out. That's super important to us. I think it's going to be really, really exciting. I think we're going to do a live podcast there, and we'll talk to hopefully some listeners of the podcast and talk about some scary movies. Make sure also this October that you check out the Irvington Ghost Tours. In fact, if you bring your ticket to Shocktober in Irvington at the Irvington Theater, you get $2 off the price of admission, which is sweet. I think that's it. I'm off to go watch I Know What You Did Last Summer. Thank you so much for downloading, and enjoy Matt and Tiny on the Obsessive Viewer Podcast featuring Al Hunter and Tim Poynter. Talk to you guys soon.
Welcome to a special bonus episode of the Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Tiny and I, along with our friend Greg from We Are Libertarians, we're here in Irvington with Al Hunter from the Irvington Ghost Tours and Tim Poynter from Spirit Paranormal. And we're here today to ask them questions about the hauntings in Irvington, where we're going to be hosting our Shocktober in Irvington event here in a couple weeks. So how you doing, guys?
Good. We're doing great.
Great. Well,
ready for a ghost tour tonight.
Oh yeah, we wait all year for these.
Yeah,
and
so do we.
It's definitely exciting. We're big fans. So first, why don't we just talk about the ghost tours themselves and what they entail and what people can expect from coming to the ghost tours?
Well, we've had 12 years of history with these tours. This is our 12th year. We're very proud of that. Most people don't realize that the money that we garner from the tours goes back into the community of Irvington in one way or another, and we've always been that way, and that's what makes it fun for us. We come out here to gather ghost stories, to try and find evidence of paranormal activity in what we consider to be the most haunted area of Indiana, let alone Indianapolis, and possibly the Midwest. That's what makes Irvington great, is on a 2-hour tour, I can expand it to 4 or 5 hours because every building that I go by has some sort of a ghost story attached to it.
Wow.
That's incredible. And what I love about the ghost tour itself, I went 2 years ago. I didn't get a chance to go last year, so I'm rectifying that this year. This is the first night of it. And what I love about it is that it's so focused on history, and it's just the way you meld history with the ghost stories is just really unique. And it's not like a oh, this is scary, be scared by this. It's like, this is what happened here. Take what you will from it, and also be scared. Yeah. And that's what
and you can go back on our stories. What makes Irvington special is that it's not always just somebody's great uncle that has passed over and is shaking chains in the attic or running around in the closets or walking through walls. Although there are many places in Irvington where that occurs. These are the stories that we focus on are people that their names are familiar to you. You can go back to the history books and you can find them, and it's just incredible to realize that John Dillinger, H.H. Holmes, D.C. Stevenson, the Johnny Gruelle of the Raggedy Ann saga, they were all here in Irvington, and apparently at times they're still here. They've never left.
Wow. That's incredible. And Tim, why don't you tell us about Spirit Paranormal and also the Spirit Academy?
Well, to start off with, we're kind of a different kind of group. We don't go out and hang out in graveyards and that kind of stuff. Mostly what we do is charity work. We do stuff with Alan. We'll go out and we'll do an investigation of a building that he's interested in. He'll do his history, and then we'll go do our part, and then we'll kind of meld the stories together. It's really exciting when you can get history and the ghost story to come together, and it's very often that's what happened. We just love doing all that stuff. Other than that, we do mostly house clearings and stuff like that. People that need help, we'll go out and help them.
That's great.
And when we go out after ghost tour season, we can find ourselves rummaging around the Lincoln Tomb.
Oh, absolutely.
We can, around the Gettysburg battlefield. That's what we do for fun. So we don't just tell the stories and go away. We try to learn as much as we can. We try to talk to most of the people, if not all the people, that we talk about in our stories. We know them personally, and they will come to us later and tell us, well, this happened, or this is going on, or someone is revisiting us again, or they're always changing. So even though the stories on the tours have remained the same for 12 years, the backstory, the stories that we get as we're going forward are always changing, and that's what we like to share with people, is what we found out just in the last year.
That's great.
And so we're having an event at the Irving Theater here in a few weeks. And so, Tim, why don't you tell us about some of the ghosts that actually still live in the theater?
Well,
or die in the theater.
Actually, we like to think that they are still alive. Well, that there is no death. Everybody that dies and physically, in the change we call death, and then they move on. Some of them move on to another place. Some of them stay here. Some of the most regular spirits in there is one of them's Maria. She's about a 6-year-old little girl. We've got pictures of her. She's all the time running up, picking at people, pulling on your clothing, or running up and jabbing you in the back. We had one gentleman that came with his wife, and she was really into the class, and she was out doing all she was doing, and he was sitting in one of the pews asleep. And all of a sudden he jumped up and he running around and he going, oh my gosh. And he said that there was a little girl standing face to face with him when he opened his eye.
Wow. So
if you go in there and you tease them, don't be surprised if they don't come back and give you a little jolt. Another one is the projectionist. There's several stories about a projectionist up in the projection room, and for people that don't know, back in the day, film was made with nitrate, which is very corrosive, and this gentleman was breathing this all the time, and he didn't die in the theater, but he died from breathing that. And the picture that we actually have of him, it looks like a face, and it looks like the shoulders, and then it looks like white where his lungs should be.
Wow.
It's a very interesting picture.
Oh, that's incredible.
There's dogs. We've got a couple of different dogs that show up. I've got about a 30-minute video of a lady sitting there with an EMF meter and calling the dog, and it would flash like it was the dog's tail wagging back and forth.
Oh, wow.
And then it'd slow down, and it would stop, and she'd go, "Come on," and pat her leg, and it would start wagging again.
Wow.
Really great. We take people off the street in there, and we introduce them, and we let them do the work. All we do is get them started.
Wow.
And sometimes they bring in their own spirits with them, and that are unattached to the Irving, but they've attached themselves to the person that's there. So
a loved one, or a grandmother or grandfather, cousins, people that they knew in the past that they never really thought that were around them.
And we've done several things in there where we've had psychics come in and talk to people in the audience, and they're always amazed because they're from what I've seen. They come in expecting their ghost to be who they think it is, and when the intuitives tell them, well, no, it's not who you think it is, it's this guy. Did you know this guy? Well, it turns out, yeah, we knew this guy, but he's the last person that we would have thought would have attached himself to us. So,
Wow.
And a lot of times you'll get something like a past pet come through. I've seen more people cry over a dog that they had years ago than they did about Grandma. Oh, Grandma's here. Oh, great. Everything's good. Oh, Fluffy's here. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. It's really amazing how much people love their pets, and the pets do hang around.
and when Tim has his events in there, what most people don't from a historical standpoint, the Irving is the one place in the city, possibly in the state, where you can come, and the stage that's up front was the last stage that Elvis Presley performed on. It was segmented. When they took it apart and removed it, put a new stage in there, they just gave the stage away, and somehow a portion of it ended up in the Irving. And if you go up, and I tell everybody you need to touch that stage and look at it close, because it's a parquet floor. And if you're a basketball fan, you know what a Boston Celtics parquet floor is. Well, it's the same pattern. You can look at that stage, go home, Google Presley in Indianapolis, you will see him performing on that parquet floor. And that's the kind of thing in Irvington that it all comes full circle. It's history, and you can reach out and touch it. That's what you love about Irvington.
Or be reached out and touched.
Yeah, exactly. That's really exciting. We're going to be on that stage here in 2 weeks, and we're really looking forward to it. And Al, if we have time, could you tell us about the ghost that's in the bathroom here? Because we're here in the coffee shop.
You're in Lazy Days, an old Lazy Days, which was a coffee shop for about 10 years, headquarters for the tours. And the first year we did tours, we had no idea that they had a spirit in here. And we talked to the owner, Jeff Coppinger, after the first season was over, and he explained, yeah, we have a ghost attaches itself to certain employees, and I've talked to those employees. And this is the kind of ghost that, from our standpoint, on tour nights especially, it has 2 bathrooms in it. They're very small, closet-sized bathrooms. One person at a time. You go in, lock the door if you can get it to lock at all. They're very faulty, unreliable locks, but it never fails. I always get somebody on tour night that gets locked in that bathroom. And it's the spirit of what we would say haunts the bathrooms. And this is a spirit that it talks to you when you're in there, which is uncomfortable when you're in the restroom.
Of course.
And if you're a man, it sounds like a woman's voice. If you're a woman, it sounds like a man's voice. And that's enough. I mean, to have something walk up and ask you, what are you doing here? Well, you're in the bathroom. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So you're scared to begin with. We've had people get so scared not being able to get out of that bathroom that they will come tumbling out every year. We get one that comes tumbling out, and they don't care that their pants are down around their ankles. They don't care that there's 8 people in line watching them, but they're scared to death. And they never know it until I stand out and tell them the story of the ghost that haunts Lazy Days. And then I've had people leave the tours before because of it.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I remember distinctively going to that bathroom after hearing that story and just thinking, like, I was just panicking the whole time. It was like the quickest quickest time I've ever spent in a bathroom to do my business and get out.
We also have a chess-playing ghost in here, and when Lazy Days closed a few years ago, they had a liquidation sale, and Tim Poynter bought the haunted checkerboard. He has it now, and he's watching it closely for me. He hadn't reported anything back. But when it was here, it was not uncommon to set the pieces up in the morning when the doors are locked, and Jeff Coppinger would come back, and the pieces had moved, one or two spaces as if there was an imaginary game going on. He'd put them back. This would go on 3 or 4 times. He'd come back, and the pieces had moved again. Finally, he just removed the pieces, and you had to request them. He got tired of he does not believe in ghosts, but he got tired of dealing with whatever it was that was moving those pieces around. And now Tim has that chess table.
Yeah, but my wife won't let me put chess pieces on it. It sits in the corner, but I wanted to make sure it didn't disappear. So,
well, that's the point of having it if you can't play chess.
Well, I can play chess. She just doesn't want the ghost to play chess.
But I've had people in the Irving Theater before Tim and I were associated. I'm not as gifted as he is. Things can happen to me, and I'm the type of person that if a door doesn't shut, I get out the level. If the electricity's going on and off, I call an electrician. I always look for reasons why something's happening, where Tim actually sees why it's happening, and the people that he hangs out with will tell me, well, that's this, or that's Maria, or whomever you said it was before. Well, I can't see these kind of things. I found it interesting that we've isolated your child ghost as having migrated from the old children's guardian home and ended up here in the Irving. To what we know, that child didn't die here. We have no records of that. But for whatever reason, perhaps that child came and had one of their greatest days, one of their greatest weekends, or this is where they came to have fun. So they've come back and they've just never left.
So what they like to do is places that have positive energy draw positive spirits. So a place that would have negative energy, that's where a negative spirit, like the H.H. Holmes house. There's a lot going on there, so he kind of hangs out down there from time to time.
And it makes it an active ghost tour. I mean, we've had people faint on the tours. We've had people encounter D.C. Stevenson in the smell of cigar smoke, alcohol on the sidewalks out in front of the house. We've had, whenever we visit the H.H. Holmes house, it's always 10 to 15 degrees cooler, and it doesn't matter if we're doing a ghost tour in May or we're doing a ghost tour in October. Temperature drops there. And it's a perceptible feeling. I mean, you can go there and you just feel like something is watching you, that something is going on there. But that's America's first serial killer, and that's people don't realize that America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes, came through Irvington. That's one of the things that makes it special. One of the things that makes Johnson Ave special is it's on a ley line. Plus, right across the street from where we're sitting is Masonic Lodge 666, which to me is a gift. It is the best place in the world to start a ghost tour. Masonic Lodge 666. Very cool.
I bet Jesus' body's in there.
You'd have to talk to Masons about that. There's a church there now, so
now I'm convinced.
Yeah, I think Casey Newbolt's got him pretty much reeled in, so trying to convert him, I'm sure.
Well, Alan, where online can we find information about the ghost tours?
You go to indianaghosttours.org. You'll see our schedule there. You'll see some information. But I encourage people to come here and take the tour. I'll give you a book that with every tour that will tell you some of the stories, will show you where they're at. The whole tour is designed to get folks to come back to Irvington in our non-ghosty hours during the day and visit the shops, eat at the restaurants, go to the Bonna, spend time in the museums, just absorb Irvington. If nothing else, go to South Irving Circle and just sit around and absorb Irvington, because it's that kind of place. I've had people on the tour that have never been to Irvington before, and they move here within a couple weeks. I've had people meet and marry on my tour. We had a couple pregnant ladies that I was very, very pregnant ladies. I was very worried about them in front of the Oberholzer house because things have been known to happen out there. And the last thing I wanted was to have 2 babies come out during my ghost tour. That would have kind of harshed on our ghost tour a little bit.
Sure.
And then, Tim, where can we find information on your organization?
Best way to find us is go on to Facebook. We're Spirit Paranormal, and just like our page. And we have lots of events going on. We've got one coming up at the Indiana State Library that we're doing in conjunction with Alan. We investigated the State Library, and Alan's doing all the history, and we're doing the ghost side, and we're going to do a nice presentation October 25th at 1 o'clock.
Which is rare because you got to remember this is a state institution, and they'll be filming it, so we will have, this is our way of getting the word out paranormal-wise to be taken down in the history of Indianapolis, the history of the state. It's unusual for a state institution to contact us and want us to do a program. Usually the official state stance is there are no ghosts in their buildings. So we're delighted about that. Plus you do, Spirit Paranormal does a night at the museum in Richmond, Indiana, where they basically take over the Wayne County Museum. And that's an awful lot of fun. I don't know if you've got any of those scheduled.
That's usually July is usually in July of every year. We have one Spirit. We call it Spirit Academy. It's just a chance for us to share what we do over here at the Irving. The 7th of November. October was so busy that we pushed it back into November. So we'll take people in there. We'll show them the equipment we use. We'll hand them the equipment. We'll explain to them what we do, and then we step back, and all we're there to do is to help, and they get to go around and meet all the spirits themselves.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, thank you so much, guys, and I know we're about to get started on the ghost tour, and really excited. Once again, you can find all the information, all the links to all these awesome organizations on the show notes and on the Facebook page and on obsessiveviewer.com, all that stuff. And, of course, come to Shocktober in Irvington at the Irving Theater on October 17th. The doors open at 6 p.m. If you bring a ticket from the Irvington Ghost Tour, you'll get $2 off the ticket price of at the door, which is $10 without a ticket, $8 with a ticket. That includes a raffle that we'll be giving away DVDs and gift cards to area Irvington businesses, and all the proceeds from the event will be going right back to Irvington, to the Irvington Historical Society, and we're really excited to do this, and we hope you guys come out, and thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Good job.
And tomorrow we're going to watch Joyride, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. You're next, the Loved Ones.